Hi, I'm Bill Shaw, and this is an instructional video on the new Copemaster. Now we're going to discuss making templates on the machine. What we like to do is spray paint the molding flat black, and then put our miter cut on it. That gives us a nice high contrast cope line to follow. You can see on the crown I painted the whole width of the crown. On the base I only want to spray paint the cap and just a little bit of the straight section, because when we go to do this straight section cut, I want to do it right under the base cap, so the reference between the straight section and the profile is very close to each other. Okay, now we're going to show this. Actually, we're going to be cutting the template on the old Copemaster because it was easier to remove the light shield and get a good view of it. Making the template is the same on both machines. Just about everything is the same on both machines. So you can use this video for the older machine or the newer machine. The only real difference is where the stylus is located and where the template vise is located. So let's get started on making the template cut. Okay, so first thing we need to do is install our template blank in the vise in front of the saw blade. We're going to put this in the work vise, not the template vise. The template vise is after we're done making the template. So we need to put the molding in deep enough so that when we're at our maximum depth of cut on the cope, which is the straight section in this case, that the saw blade can make that depth of cut without bottoming out. So bottom the machine out, line it up with the straight section, then slide it in a little bit so when you're at your maximum depth of cut, the machine doesn't bottom out. Then we're going to lock the vise jaw. Remember, once it makes contact, just go a little bit more, you don't need much. And now we're ready to make the cut. So first thing when we go to make a template is we need to set the angle of the saw blade. So for any molding that sits flat against the wall, that's baseboard, chair rail, freeze board under a crown, shoe molding, anything that sits flat on the wall, the blade's going to be straight up and down, or on the protractor that's reading 0. Okay, so the blade's straight up and down. Then we're going to proceed to make our template cut.
For baseboard molding or anything that sits flat against the wall, the blade should be set at 0 or straight up and down. This means it is perpendicular to the wall. You can use the protractor on the front of the saw carriage to do this. Now that the angle is set, we can create our template. You need to select a nice flat 12-inch long piece of molding for the template. For flatness, check it with a straight edge across the back. To check for twist, place the molding on a flat surface and press on opposite corners. If the molding rocks, the piece is twisted. Spray paint the end of the board flat black and let it dry, and then cut your 45-degree bevel on the painted edge. This 45-degree cut is very important. If the saw cut is off, your cope will be off because this cut generates our high contrast cope line we use to make the template. Place the template stock in the vise in front of the saw blade, about 1 inch or less in front of the edge of the vise to the deepest part of the bevel cut. Pull up on the movable vise jaw and push down on the workpiece as you tighten the vise. Once the jaws make contact, tighten just a 1/4 turn more. With the piece secured, you can begin the cut. Turn on the light and make sure the blade is free from contacting the wood, and then start the motor. After hogging out most of the material to within about 1/16 of an inch of the black line, use the magnifying headset and remove the wood up to the black line. It is important to do this as accurately as possible. It takes more patience than skill. The better your template, the easier it will be to produce perfect copes every time. To finish the straight cut, move the blade close to the straight edge and lock both carriage locks in place. Loosen the vise and move the wood into the blade right up to the black line, and lock the vise. Unlock the front carriage lock and move the blade side to side to finish the straight cut on your baseboard. Once you've finished the cut, you can sand the edge with 100 or 120 grit sandpaper, being careful not to remove the back clearance created by the saw blade. Sand with the curvature left by the saw blade. Then apply wax for a smooth glide on the template.
If the molding has a step in it, so you have a straight section, a little step, another straight section, and then a profile, you would do the same thing for each of those straight sections. You would do one, then bring the blade over, plunge down in, lock it in place, do the second straight section. So now that we've finished the template cut, we can take some 100 or 120 grit paper and we can sand the sections that might have some bumps in them. The straight section should be perfectly smooth and no problem. In here in the curved, detailed sections, you can just put the paper in there and sand a little bit, get it as smooth as you can. You want to remember that this has the curvature of the saw blade in it, and you want to sand with the curvature. You don't want to disturb that, because the stylus has the same curvature, so it's going to make full contact with your template. So again, 80, 100, 120 grit, do a little sanding, make it smooth. If you want, you can put butcher's wax on it. If you're doing a lot of copes, if you want to put butcher's wax, it just makes the stylus slide a little bit easier. And now your template is done.